Well, it is actually the next day. You can see I got it all glassed in yesterday. We're going to come back. We're going to cut all this little trim part off, and then we're going to do something totally crazy. So we're going to actually pull fairing compound in this whole thing. The reason I'm going to do that is you see all these little textures, all these little breaks and all this stuff, and all this weave in this cloth. Is everywhere that there's a depression in there, I feel like it's going to hold dirt or whatever. So we're going to give this a shot. I've got some epoxy, and we're going to pull that on here and give it a shot. Just be able to sand it back. We're not looking for fair and super smooth. We're just looking for to fill all those indentions. So it all looks pretty good. There's one spot right there. So that white spot there, it looks like it doesn't have any resin in it, but that's not it. It must have been when it was raining or a sweat droplet got in there. But there's glass underneath that. That's in the 1208 where it wraps down, so I think it's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. So that's how it all looks. Everything looks pretty good right there. We're going to pull that fairing compound right here. Well, this is kind of the lost footage here. I didn't realize I had this video from about a year ago. And hopefully it kicks us off to a lot more progress in the days ahead. As I've talked about before, I'm able to cut that fiberglass that hangs over there with a razor knife, since I call it before it fully cured. And even though I cut it as close to the wood as I can, I went back and sanded it to keep those little spikes from cutting me to pieces. And then I pull out my old vacuum and suck up all the dust or anything else that may get in the way of this fairing compound. So this is going to look a little bit different on the fairing compound, as I use a lot of the total fair on the bottom and sides. The total fair is where you take two equal parts of part A and part B and mix them together, and it makes it green. And this product here is an additive that works with the epoxy that I've been using throughout the project, and it's from US Composites. It's their fairing compound additive, and so I just make normal epoxy and add the powdery additive and mix the crap out of it. I think it's a bit thinner than what the total fair seemed to be, and I'm hoping that allows me to put it on a little thinner. Going to be using some typical tools for this job. I have that drywall spreader that's about 6 inches wide, and I have one of those plastic spreaders, that yellow one, that's about 4 inches wide. And then I have my old trusty cake spatula. You'll see me use that spatula in the corners and hard to reach areas. And keep in mind, the smoother this fairing compound is when it dries, the easier it'll be to sand smooth, and every step from that point forward will go easier. So hopefully this will quicken up the stage of this fairing and sanding, and we'll see how that works. I don't know if it's noticeable in the video, but as the epoxy starts to kick a little bit, meaning it's starting to react, it's much easier to smooth it. And you'll see when I kind of put it on there, I'm trying to pull it and get it as thin as I can so that there's not a lot of sanding left. I learned that on the bottom of the boat. If you hadn't seen that, there's plenty of examples of how not to do things. You'll see me lightly going over those flat places here, especially trying to get them smooth. You know, and I would say there's no real magic here. It's just mix a small batch of epoxy and, spread it out and keep moving forward. But there is some art to it. The toughest parts are around those pipes and those corners and edges. And while I do my best to make them smooth, especially around those pipes and chases, I know that if I
if I make sure that I have enough compound around those edges, I can focus on those little small areas and sand it smooth, and it'll be just tough for that one little place. And keep in mind, we aren't trying to get a yacht finish on this area. We're just trying to feel that texture and try and make it easier to keep it rinsed out and to keep it clean. You know, we'll have that drain right there that'll be able to take that water and let it flow overboard, but we're just hoping to be able to feel that texture, and as stuff is going in and out of here and dirt and grime and stuff just happens, all we're trying to do is maybe make this easier to keep it clean. If you're watching what I'm doing here and you have questions, just comment below and I'll answer the best I can and to the best of however I understand it needs to be done. I mean, I'd love to hear some feedback on what we can do to make the videos more entertaining and also more informative. I mean, what do you see other content folks doing that works for you, that reaches you? And, you know, let me know how this is landing with you. Y'all don't know how much I appreciate the opportunity to do this and to get some feedback so I can get better at it. Certainly be appreciated. And that pretty much does it for this compartment, with at least its first and hopefully only coat of fairing compound. Well, what do you think about the job I did here, and how's this going to turn out? And for about the same reason, I'm starting to prep the bow area, which will be an anchor locker. And there's so many different directions of glass and types of glass, and there's so much going on in this compartment. You know what it's like to pull up a muddy anchor and put it on the floor, and you know, over time the rope and the chain and everything else is spreading dirt and gradu everywhere. And I want to be able to rinse this compartment out, and then, you know, at the end of the season or whatever, if I need to pull everything out and scrub it clean, I got a smooth texture to be able to do that. With all those textures and edges, it'd be a nightmare if I didn't do something like this. So, you think this is a bad idea? And what would you do if this was your boat? And I think I've been running 80 grit sandpaper on that random orbital, and this is my little file sander. And man, this thing is so handy to getting in those corners and stuff like that, and hard to reach areas. And I think I'm running 80 grit on it too. It's just so handy to be able to move that thing around and get to those areas, and then I'll come back if I need to when I'm fairing this and sand a lot of it by hand so we get a good surface. And once again, as soon as we're done with all that sanding, we jump right back in there with the vacuum, keep it clean, and get ready to do some more fairing compound application. Once again, I use that 6-inch knife there, or spreader, to kind of put the stuff on there, and then I get this little plastic one, and as you can imagine, it's a little softer, a little more supple, and you can really see there where I'm really trying to scrape that stuff really thin, so that it's just filling that weave and that texture, so we don't have to sand a whole bunch back to get to where the glass is. I can't wait to see what this compartment looks like all sanded out with all those different angles and all that stuff going on. I think it's going to look awesome. I'm probably wrong. I mean, it's just an anchor storage area. It's nothing special. Why is it so important that I think it's going to look good and I'm going to spend the time to try and make it all smooth? Well, this is going to wrap this video up, and now we're at the end. I never thought I'd have to move it out before it was done, but life happens and you got to make the best decisions you can.